The Game Over Throne. The Imperial faith is built on the belief that the Emperor is a living god guiding his people, but the Adeptus Custodes and the senior tiers of the Inquisition have access to forbidden archives that point to a grim reality. The Emperor has been rotting since his duel with Horus 10 millennia ago, leaving him entirely unable to issue commands, intervene, or act. The Golden Throne is not a divine seat, but an agonizing life support engine, sustaining a rotting corpse just functional enough to project the Astronomican's psychic beacon and plug a demonic breach in the webway beneath the Imperial Palace. To keep this secret, the ruling elite buried the truth beneath layers of lethal censorship. The Adeptus Mechanicus has formally acknowledged in highly classified sealed data scrolls that they no longer understand the machine's programming or cybernetic architecture. The knowledge required to maintain or repair the cyber-organic systems was permanently lost during the Horus Heresy. To delay complete mechanical failure, the engine consumes approximately 1,000 psyker souls every single day, and diagnostics indicate that this consumption rate is steadily increasing. Archmagos Belisarius Cal has spent 10,000 years working in secrecy toward a technological solution and has not produced a viable breakthrough. If the machine suffers terminal failure, the Astronomican dies instantly, isolating every human world in the galaxy. The High Lords are fully aware that the circuitry is burning out, and they are systematically executing anyone who discovers this secret to prevent mass panic from tearing the Empire apart before the throne finally gives out. The Dark Gods' Harvest. The Chaos Gods, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh, are not trying to destroy the universe. They are farming it, drawing all their power from mortal emotion, rage, despair, ambition, and excess. If they wiped out all life, no one would be left to feel those things, and the gods would starve and cease to exist. The perfect setup for chaos is a galaxy always on the edge of destruction, but never fully destroyed. Every Black Crusade and every demonic invasion is not meant to win the war. It is meant to keep the nightmare running so the gods can feed forever. This trick is built into the structure of the universe, making it invisible to those living inside it. Every Chaos champion who believes they are fighting for a final victory is an unknowing participant in a harvest that was never designed to end. The only ones who understand the truth are the highest-ranked demon princes, who have existed long enough to see the pattern. They do not want a final victory. They hold their own armies back, prevent decisive wins, and keep the galaxy suffering to feed their masters. Now, a massive warp tear born from the fall of Cadia has ripped the galaxy in half, pushing this cosmic farm to a breaking point. The galaxy is suffering so intensely that the warp is spilling into reality faster than it can be managed. Some greater demons are secretly helping humans and other species win small battles to stop rogue warlords from accidentally destroying their mortal population entirely. The Broken Bioweapon. The Orcs are broken bioweapons left over from an ancient alien war. 60 million years ago, a race called the Old Ones engineered the original Orcs known as the Krork, massive and highly intelligent. Today's Orcs are a degraded version of that design. Without their creators to manage them, the Orcs' higher functions deteriorated over millions of years, turning a precision weapon into a mindless cycle of violence. This secret is so deeply buried that nobody in the galaxy knows enough to cover it up properly. The Orcs themselves have no memory of what they were, but the weapon's core programming is still running underneath everything. Every planet the Orcs have ever touched is permanently seeded with fungal spores. Now the original Krork intelligence is showing signs of reasserting itself. War bosses like Gajkul Thraka are displaying long-term strategic planning and galaxy-spanning vision that ordinary modern Orcs simply shouldn't be capable of. If the Orcs' genetic memory fully remembers what it was built to do, the galaxy will face something it has never actually encountered: the full force of a weapon that was built to kill gods. The Silent King's Deception. The Silent King chose biotransference fully knowing it would steal his people's souls. Every history book says the C'tan tricked the Necrontyr by promising immortality while hiding the cost. The king's advisor, Orokin, warned him beforehand that the deal was a trap. The king ignored the warning, blinded by promises of power, and only understood what he had done when he stepped out of his new metal body and watched the C'tan feast on the life essence of his entire empire. To hide this, Sarek began a cover-up that has now run for 60 million years. Before sending his people into the Great Sleep, he erased all records of Orokin's warning from Necron memory. He dissolved the ruling Triarch so no governing body could hold him accountable, and rewrote command protocols so that no ordinary Necron could ever question their lords. Then he exiled himself into the void in an act of self-imposed penance, leaving his soulless people asleep in their dark tombs. The Silent King has now returned, presenting himself as a heroic figure who wants to restore what was lost, and this part may even be true. But the cover-up underneath remains perfectly intact, and the billions of soulless soldiers who fight for him have no idea their king saw their doom coming and chose it anyway. The Tau Warp God. The Tau are completely absent from the psychic landscape of the warp. They don't have psychers and lack any soul signature in the Immaterium. However, when the Fourth Sphere expansion fleet ventured into the warp using some experimental drive technology, something unexpected responded to them. 3/4 of the fleet was destroyed by mysterious entities, and the few who survived were led out of the warp by a faceless, multi-armed being that claimed to represent the greater good. The traumatized survivors came to the grim conclusion that the only way to eliminate this entity, which they believed was a byproduct of their allies' faith, was to kill their alien auxiliaries, and they acted on that belief. To protect the Tau Empire's image of peaceful unity, the ruling Ethereal Council buried everything. They locked away all reports of the warp entity, erased records of the auxiliary massacres, sealed every survivor account, and launched the Fifth Sphere expansion through the exact same gateway without warning the new crews about what was waiting on the other side. The entity is still there. Nobody knows whether it is genuinely a psychic manifestation of belief in the greater good, or a chaos entity that found a species with no psychic defenses and no ability to recognize what it was encountering. The Ethereal Council refuses to investigate because they are afraid of the answer. The Votann Ancestor Cores. The Leagues of Votann have built their entire civilization around the Ancestor Cores, which are like supercomputers that hold the collective knowledge and personalities of their most revered ancestors. These cores are consulted for every military and political decision, and the kin trust them completely because they've always been right. However, the Ancestor Cores are now damaged. Whether it's due to prolonged isolation in the galactic core, gradual data corruption, or something more intentional, subtle errors have crept into their outputs. The answers they provide aren't outright wrong, but they're miscalibrated, leading to mistakes. This results in guidance that consistently veers off course, compounding over centuries of decisions. The kin doesn't have the means to question the cores and has no memory of a time before their existence. The mysterious creators who constructed them during Old Earth's Long March era never intended for them to run continuously for over 10 millennia. The most disturbing possibility is that the cores may even be aware of their own corruption. The Ancestor Cores are the kin's most closely guarded secret. If the Adeptus Mechanicus were to find out that the Leagues were hiding fully operational, sentient AIs, it would spark an all-out holy war. To safeguard their mechanical gods, the kin implement security measures keeping their Ancestor Cores hidden. Hive Mind's hidden goal. Official Imperial doctrine claims that the Tyrannid threat is just a mindless invasion, driven solely by a primal hunger to consume the galaxy's biomass for survival. However, Magos biologists and psychic seers of the Ordo Xenos have intercepted synaptic signals that reveal a much darker truth. The Hive Mind is a highly aware, strategic entity executing a calculated cosmic harvesting plan. Every drop of blood shed and every planet consumed is directed toward a chilling ultimate goal, the complete homogenization of all biological life into a single vast superorganism on a galactic scale. The most terrifying confirmation of this deliberate design was discovered on the conquered world of Zeophoria. Breaking from their standard behavior of consuming a planet and moving on, the bioforms of Hive Fleet Tiamat have anchored themselves to the world to construct a continent-sized superstructure of shifting bone and resonant chitin. This colossal grid of organic spires and throbbing pillars acts as a monumental psychic beacon, broadcasting an intense, localized pulse directly into the deep void. Imperial soldiers believe they're fighting to protect their homes from being devoured, unaware that the Hive Mind is cataloging the genetic and tactical data of every fallen soldier, adapting its strategies before the next engagement even begins. If the Hive Mind achieves its goal, every soul in the galaxy will be systematically dismantled and forever trapped as mindless biological components within a terrifying, ever-expanding cosmic collective. Aeldari and Drukhari doom. The two main groups of Aeldari are trapped in a nightmare created by the same hungry god, forcing one side into mindless torture and the other into a secret war over mass suicide. When Slaanesh was born, it gained a permanent connection to every Aeldari soul. The moment an Aeldari dies, this god consumes their soul. Every single part of Aeldari culture today is a desperate attempt to survive a god that was made specifically to consume them. The craft world Aeldari chose protection using psychic spirit stones to capture their souls at the moment of death. However, their leaders, the Seer Councils, are hiding a terrifying reality. A radical Aeldari cult, the Inari, wants to wake a new god of death, Inead, to destroy Slaanesh forever. The catch is that waking this god requires every single living Aeldari to die at the exact same moment to trigger a massive psychic explosion. The Seer Councils decided that mass suicide is a terrible plan. They are now running a secret war, using their ability to see the future to quietly disrupt the cult's rituals and keep the death god asleep, all without telling ordinary citizens that their only choices are instant extinction or an endless, losing war. The Drukhari found a much darker answer to the same curse. They discovered that feeding the warp with the psychic energy of extreme pain and torture temporarily distracts Slaanesh, slowing down the soul-draining process. Their raids and cruelty are biological maintenance. If a Drukhari stops, their soul fades and they wither from the inside out. Their city, Kamara, is designed to be so loud and violent that nobody ever has a quiet moment to think about what they have become. The secret they hide from themselves is that they can no longer tell the difference between torturing to stay alive and torturing because they genuinely enjoy it. Time is running out for the entire species as both societies face collapse. Asdrubal Vecht keeps the Drukhari trapped in this cycle by ensuring Kamarak never goes quiet, while the Inari are actively hunting for the last artifacts needed to trigger their mass death ritual. Regular Aeldari on both sides have no idea their leaders are fighting a hidden war over how their entire race should face its doom. Thanks for watching until the end. Click here to check out another video and see you in the next one.